We're in volume 6 of the Bible story by Arthur S Maxwell. And my book has a girl with a letter with her hand up and another girl on a balcony. Okay. And we are part 1, story 3, wonderful prayer meeting. It felt weird. It felt like it was folded, but it's not. I don't think these books have been open in 50 years. I'm guessing. Okay. Part 1, story 3, wonderful prayer meeting. For some reason or another, Daniel and his 3 friends were not present with the other wise men when Nebuchadnezzar gave orders that they should be killed. But the king's command soon caught up with them. There was a loud knock at their door. On opening it, they saw Arik, Arioch, Arik, the chief of the executioners, with a strong bodyguard of soldiers. "What's the matter?" asked Daniel innocently, not knowing anything of what had happened that morning at court. "Why is the decree so hasty from the king?" Arek then told what had taken place. He was sorry, but orders were orders. Daniel and his friends would have to go with him. Respectfully, Daniel asked if he might see the king first and beg for a little time. Aroch, it's hard to say some of these names, agreed. Why it was hard to tell, but there was something so gentle, so gracious, and so modest about these young men that everybody loved him. Man, that everybody loved him, even the chief executioner. So Daniel went to see the king, promising him that if he could have a little time, he would tell him all he wanted to know. Angry though he had not been with the Chaldeans, the astrologers, the magicians, or the sorcerers, and the king's heart softened at the sight of this noble youth. He did not want Daniel to be killed, so he agreed to give him the time he asked. Much depending on Daniel, much depended much depended on what Daniel did with the next few hours. Not only was his life at stake, but the lives of his 3 friends and of all the wise men in Babylon. What could he do? He ran to his house and told Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah what the king had said. Then he struggled that Then he suggested that they all fall to their knees and ask the great God of heaven, who knows everything, just what it was the king dreamed and what was its meaning. And then this says Herbert Roden, and they're on their knees. Daniel in the front, and then the 3 men, and of course they got their heads wrapped, except one of them has a hat. But the others got their prayer shawls on. And they're praying. Okay? What a prayer meeting that was. How those four dear boys pleaded with God to help them, and soon, before the king's deadline should pass. I can almost hear them crying out, "Dear God, please, dear God, tell us the king's dream. Excuse me. Tell us what it means. Do not fail us. Help us, and help us now." Then was the secret revealed to Daniel in a night vision. That very night, right after that wonderful prayer meeting, Daniel saw the very same Southern, hello, same thing that Nebuchadnezzar had seen in his dream the night before. And it was a marvelous picture passed, and as the marvelous picture passed before his eyes, its meaning suddenly became plain to him. At once he understood why Nebuchadnezzar had been so troubled. God had been trying to tell him something of great importance about the future of his kingdom. In the morning, Daniel could hardly wait to tell the king what God had shown him. But first, he told his friends, and together they thanked God for his goodness in answering their prayers so wonderfully and so soon. "Blessed is the name of God forever and ever," said Daniel. And then, "For wisdom and might are his, and he changes the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and sets up kings. He gathereth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding. He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and light dwelleth in him. I thank thee and praise thee, O thou God of my fathers, whom hast given me wisdom and might, and hast made known unto me now that what we desire of thee. For thou hast now made known unto us the king's matter." Ugh, tongue-tied. Now Daniel hurried to Arach, the king executioner, with the good news. "Destroy not the wise men of Babylon," he urged. "Bring me in before the king, and I will show unto the king the interpretation." The look on Daniel's face and the gleam in his eye told Arach that the young man meant what he said. "I'll take you," he said, "and hurry. There's not much time." So Arach brought in Daniel before the king in haste, trying to take a little glory to himself. The chief executioner said, "I found a man of the captives of Judah, captives of Judah, that will make known unto the king the interpretation." But the king took no notice of Arach. His eyes were fixed on the splendid youth who stood before him, upon whose face glowed a light never seen in Babylon before. Surely this is the same young man who but yesterday had come to him and asked for time. Here he was back again already. What had he had? What had he to say now? Daniel's great moment had come. And then, of course, it has a picture of him asleep and seeing the statue. And that's on here. Okay. And that was it. That Now it's a break time. So that was the end of part 1, story 3. So I'm going to take a break and then we'll find out what all this means.